it's just not something that happens. Nobody's coming to save you. You have to save yourself.
I was obese since childhood and have had ups and downs with weight loss. What do you recommend I do to begin to stay consistent? And that's at 7dartwolf.
Yeah, it's a great question. I appreciate your vulnerability and reaching out and asking me this. And unfortunately, a lot of people who struggle with obesity or overweight as children, it spills in. I mean, it's I believe in the mid 60% range as far as basically fat kids who become fat adults, for lack of a better term. What do I recommend you do to stay consistent? God, so many things, right? Like so many things. Like I'm just going to start rattling them off here. I don't have like a prepared scripted answer, and perhaps you're already doing some of these things, but the probability is you're not. You have to begin to establish better just habits and routines that are consistent with the lifestyle that you want to live. The chances are you're probably, living your life and you have habits that are consistent with those of somebody who's overweight, unhealthy, and, struggling with obesity. So, what are some of these things that I'm talking about? Well, you should not have any foods in your home that, like any sort of like the desserts or like junk food, chips, things that you objectively know are part of the problem. You need to remove all of that out of your house so there is no temptation, okay? Again, we talked about the importance of structure earlier. Like you got to stay consistent with the workouts. And I will tell you that if you've been, you obviously haven't been consistent because you're asking why or how to begin staying consistent. You schedule a time, okay? Preferably at the beginning of the day, preferably the first thing that you do, to where, not only do you get it out of the way, not only do you do a workout, feel great, and then, from that elevated state, from that peak mental state, you now then attack the rest of the day. But because a lot of times, you hear so much people after work, they just don't feel like it. After work, after a long day, I planned on going, but then, fill in the blank. Well, how about you stop leaving it? Look, pattern recognition. Recognize that more often than not, that strategy isn't cutting it. So you have to readjust your game plan. And for somebody who's looking to develop a more, just to be healthier and to adopt, habits that are consistent with, being somebody who's confident, fit, in shape and that type of thing, you're going to you have to change, you have to break the pattern. You got to break the pattern. The pattern, for all intents and purposes right now, is probably you not going and working out more often than not. So what would probably be most comfortable for you is to go and work out like after work or whatever. So like the way we can break the pattern is by putting ourselves in an uncomfortable situation where you're getting up earlier than you want to get up. Okay. You're building your discipline off of that. That's an opportunity to develop and cultivate your discipline. Okay. So that's like that opportunity, which then you now go to the gym, and another opportunity to work on your discipline as well as work on your fitness. Like saying you've had ups and downs, like you have to recognize that like you didn't just have ups and downs, like you were the up and down. Okay. But that in this situation, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Obviously you want to figure out a way to stay consistent. The best way that you can do that is to scrutinize, analyze, and really dissect those times and those periods where you were at and up. Like, what were you doing then? What were you eating then? What was your schedule like with your workout? How were you feeling then? Look at some of the things that you were doing then, and then do them now. But this time, stay consistent with doing them by cutting out and removing all the bullshit. Like, you should not be having any sort of temptation around you that would be a trigger to you to make some bad choices that are just going to move you away from, where it is that, you want to go. Look, I don't want to, at the risk of sounding like an asshole here, if you have fat friends who have no interest in improving their health, guess what? They have to fucking go. You know, Rick, I read something recently. There was a study that came out that suggested that people who had overweight or obese friends on Facebook were like 70% more likely to be overweight themselves. That doesn't surprise me. The part about that surprises me is that it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
If you have colleagues and friends and people around you that are, you know, not really concerning themselves with making the sort of changes and haven't had ups and downs, they've just been at a pretty constant, you know, consistent cyclical cycle of being unhealthy and being fat and not having confidence and not having the same opportunities as fit and healthy people have. Like, you gotta, you know, you don't want to be a dick about it, but you gotta create a little bit of space and do your best to get around people that are fit and healthy and go to the gym and go, you know, there's all this, you hear a lot around this time of year when obviously New Year resolutions are big, right? A lot of new people in the gym. You hear a lot of people and see a lot of people posting about, hey, if you're in the gym and you see somebody who's overweight, new to the gym, and they're struggling, go up and help them and give them encouragement and all that. And look, I agree with that. Of course I agree with that. I love that. That's the way it should be, not just during the new year, but that's the way it should be all the time. But let's put a little responsibility on the people who are overweight, okay? If you're overweight and you don't know what the fuck you're doing, work up the courage to go and speak to somebody. I'm not saying go up to somebody and ask them to stop their workout to come like train you in the gym, but start cultivating relationships, saying hello, introducing yourself to the people that you see at the gym, just to kind of get that positive circle and develop that group of like-minded individuals that are on the same path, because that transference of energy is going to benefit you and be productive. Like, you know, I get it. It can be intimidating, but again, like, what are we going to do here? Right? Are we going to use that as an excuse? Or we're intimidated and we don't want to go introduce ourselves? Like, well, I mean, what do you think is the worst thing that can happen? I'll tell you, man, like, I would be the one to stop my workout. And if somebody came up to me and
I was going to say, this probably happened a lot to you. It's happened to me as well. And it's like, you're more than happy to like take time out and talk to people.
It's like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for looking at me as someone like that you would entrust to kind of give you advice. Like, I would absolutely love that. And, you know, it does happen a lot. I wouldn't say it happens a lot with people who are significantly, you know, overweight or out of shape. Like, you know, this person most likely is, but we got to put some responsibility on them. It's like, you know, as much as I, you know, want this person to turn it around and figure out a way to be consistent and stage their comeback and then be an inspiration for people that are in their same position, you know, it's just not something that happens. You know, nobody's coming to save you. You have to save yourself. And again, some of the things I would recommend is, you know, not only cutting off the fat, unhealthy, miserable people that are around you that have no ambition to change, but to start cultivating relationships and getting yourself around, you know, healthy people that are on the path that you want to be on, and just kind of get that energy in your life, learn what you can from them, and just have a very, just a more positive support system to help you move forward with where you're trying to go.